have a controversial rant, and please don't chase me off the platform for it, but seriously, why didn't we listen to Black women? Why did we not listen to them? I'm watching all these emergent, fascist bills that are being passed that target trans kids. And I'm hearing in my comment section a lot, this is Gilead, this is like the Handmaid's Tale. But as I look through the history of the United States, genocide is nothing new in this country. It's not confined to some fictional book. It actually happened to Indigenous women and to Black women. And this isn't some ancient history. Before the Indian Child Welfare Act, which is going to SCOTUS to possibly be overturned soon, before that, 1/3 of all Native children were forcibly removed from their homes. So when we talk about DeSantis passing this bill that's going to forcibly remove children that are trans or have trans parents, Natives already went through this. And how many Black mothers have we seen that have lost their babies and no justice comes to them? And I've marched in BLM marches. I felt like I was listening, but I wasn't. Giving some vocal support online or, buying a pin or something, or even just showing up in marches, it wasn't enough. And to tie this back into what's going on with the LGBT community, well, we wouldn't even have a pride if it wasn't for Black trans women. I just feel like the Black community, they have tried to warn all of us white liberals for a long time that if we don't stand and fight for them, that we would be on the chopping block next. And as I'm making all these videos exposing groups like the Council for National Policy and everything, I am feeling disgusted with myself because I'm doing it because my son is trans. My son is affected. I am a lesbian. I am affected. But the truth is, I should have been doing this kind of passionate work for a lot longer. I'm 35. This should have been happening a lot longer. And it should have been focused on Black and Indigenous people who have been through this type of oppression since the foundation of the country. I can't change the past, but what I can say is that we all need to really, really listen to the communities that have lived through this, that have survived this in the past. I think we need to stop using The Handmaid's Tale as an example for what's happening when there are real people who lived through it. We need to center their history, their fight, because I truly believe that one of the reasons that we're in this situation that we are now with the rise of fascism is because we did not do enough to help the BIPOC community, to listen to the BIPOC community who's been screaming about fascism for decades.
So no hate to this creator because she did acknowledge that she basically didn't give a fuck until she was affected. But I'm going to use her video to make a point. Because over the last week or two, I've been inundated with angry white people mad at me because I said that I'm not going to put my body on the front lines to fight with them. And I stand on that. I said what the fuck I said. But this is the reason that I said it. Because you all lack empathy by default. And not all of you know, but most of you, I would say. The fact that it takes you being affected to make you give a fuck means that human decency is not your natural state. That's crazy to me. I don't have to be a fucking Holocaust victim to know that that shit was wrong. I don't have to be a slave to know that slavery is wrong. I don't have to be affected by shit happening in this country to other demographics to understand that it isn't right. But y'all do. And I don't respect that. Because how the fuck are we supposed to trust y'all, stand with y'all, work with y'all, and you don't give a fuck on a basic level? It takes you actually feeling affected to make you care about other people. This speaks volumes. And then you say, well, why didn't we listen to Black women? You did. You all have heard everything Black women have said. We've been saying the same thing forever. And what have you done? Exactly what you were doing until you were affected. Sitting back, steeped in privilege, enjoying your life and watching everybody else suffer. And this isn't about her, you guys. This is just in general. This is the overall. The overall is that nobody gives a fuck until they're affected. But they expect us to just be on the bandwagon once they decide to care. That's not how shit works. If y'all really give a fuck, you guys hold the power. You should be out in the streets. You should be, the way you guys act like Karens towards all of us, that's how you guys should be acting towards the politicians. That's what you should be doing to change shit in this country if you really care. But you guys know you benefit from your skin color. You know that you've never had to fight the way everybody else has had to fight, and your mediocrity will fail you if you have to compete with people who've been oppressed because it's just made everybody else stronger. But what does losing look like to y'all? Because you guys act like you're scared to lose. What exactly are you losing? What do you think what happened? There's already more black and brown type of people in the world than white folks. If we wanted to do some shit, we would have been and done it. We haven't. Because we're not like y'all. We're different. We don't hate by default. We're family people. We're familial. Y'all are not. So there's nothing to fear in that aspect, but maybe there should be. I don't know. But there's nothing to fear. We've never made a threat to y'all. We've never done anything collectively to you guys. So, I don't understand y'all. I really don't. It's like I do and I don't. I don't know why somebody has to teach you to be empathetic. That sounds crazy to me. But you expect us to trust you enough to stand with you. It's wild.
It's actually no shade to her because I think I follow her and I've learned something. But this is like Cinderella finding out that her stepsisters is mean. Girl, they are mean to you too. Your sisters is racist. Your sisters used to own people. And not because their husbands told them to, okay? That is one of the most pervasive lies of patriarchy and racism together. You didn't need black women to tell you that one. You could look around. Look around, look around. You have eyes, you have perception. You can see it yourself. You a tree, you can move. That's right, that's right. Oh, that was such a funny time on here. And forget the awareness. We've passed awareness. What are y'all finna do about it now? What are y'all finna do about it now that you are uncomfortable? Will your discomfort spur you to action or spur you to fear? That's the part I want to talk about.
Well, hi, Annie. I'm Des. Thank you so much for asking this question. Yes, that was me being facetious, very intentionally. This is something that I feel like particularly white women are saying right now to feel woke, as if a true activist fighting for the people. It's a savior complex, just a savior complex. Because there's a need to actually amplify the voices that need listening to. And white people don't do that. They don't do that. You take it. You take it for yourself. And then you go to the spaces where you need to be amplifying our voices, and you say it. And that's actually part of the problem. It's actually another way that you erase us. And continue to exploit us. Hopefully in ignorance, because otherwise you're willfully exploiting us. So here's to ignorance. And understanding.
Until now, and white women before you didn't give a shit because they still thought that women who look like me, were still beneath them. So as long as they were okay, if they're above the water, everybody else, whatever happens underneath, doesn't really matter because they can just shut the door on it and they don't have to see. They don't have to look. They don't have to, they can stay over here where they're comfortable and not have to worry about us who have been drowning the entire time and are just like, hey, we've been working and doing everything for you guys, like literally since you brought us here. And we've been raising your children and wiping your asses and working like since before women at large had the option to leave the home and do anything else. Like we've been here the entire time and we've been trying to tell you guys for decades, like, hey, this shit is not right. None of this is going to ever work out unless all of us have the exact same opportunities. And they didn't want to listen, as long as y'all were comfortable, it didn't matter. And now that they're coming for your rights now, and now that they're on y'all's necks, now suddenly it's a fire. Oh my God, now it's an emergency. It wasn't an emergency before, but now it is. Because now it's an emergency for you guys. Like directly. So that's why, sorry, that's the truth. But hopefully we can do something radically different and not center like the teeniest, tiniest subset of people, white men, and, expect what they want to work for everybody. So let's stop centering them and center, or at least it doesn't even have to be like at the center, like for now, like, yeah, center black women, center brown women, femmes. Listen to us because, I don't know, if nothing else, let's try something different. Let's try listening to other people for once and see where that gets us, because focusing on the tiny little subset has got us here. So in the interest of not repeating history, let's do something different, right? Yeah, listen to us when we say, hey, this isn't right. This smells like shit, because it is shit. And you guys didn't want to look at it until it was literally like on your plate. And now you're like, oh my God, this is shit on my plate. And we were like, yeah, that's what they've been cooking the entire time and telling us that it's like like cake or something. Like, what? Oh, it's not funny, but it kind of is. But now is not the time to point and laugh and say, ha, you know. It's time to say, yeah, we've been here the entire time. Shut the fuck up and get behind us, because we've been here the entire time. We know what the fuck is up, and we have ideas because we've been watching the patterns the entire time. So thanks for waking up, and keep centering Black women.
So, are these questions helpful? That's what I want to ask back, because I find them quite irritating, and please stay with me so I can explain why. In the year 2023, if we have learned nothing, we have got to have at least understand that someone's identities do not indicate their political affiliation, their socioeconomic positionality in society, nor their intellectual capacity to understand what the hell's going on all the time. So we cannot reduce people down to their identity markers that we are all conditioned to perform in said society, and then somehow think that is going to give us a template for freedom making and liberation. So for me, the better question is, where is your attachment to the structure that did not allow you to see what it actually was until right now, if you really actually see it at all still? That's an honest question. That's a self-reflective question. And it's a question that will actually have you doing work instead of putting the responsibility once again on an external being that you have anthropomorphized as a Black woman. And see, when you want, and not just, I'm not talking to the creator. This is a reflective view. It's a reflective we. When we want to skirt responsibility, we always love to then put it onto another group. This is a way that we have been conditioned to kind of reproduce this extractive, racial, capitalistic way of relationships, right? Because the economic system we live in the U.S. has infiltrated all aspects and all institutions, especially the home via the family, right? And in these kind of third spaces like the church. So you have to be able to see that the way that the structure has maintained itself over spaces time is that it has gotten itself embedded in every aspect of our lives. So when you want to externalize the work, you are helping the power structure maintain because you are taking no responsibility. And what does that ideologically? White Christian nationalism. Everything's external. Give it up to a Jesus or give it up to a God somewhere else, but never actually sit and take the responsibility and do the internal work to root it out so that you can actually walk forward with some damn confidence. So I want us to not do this reduction. And I know this is going to piss off some of you, especially some Black women, but I am saying this because all of us are attached to this system. All of us have the responsibility to root the colonizer out from us. So you cannot put this on somebody else or some other system and somehow think you will see a promised land. Because until you actually want to do that internal work, until you want to root that motherfucking colonizer out, he will keep showing up over and over and over again. And we're seeing it in these goddamn podcast areas. We're seeing it in this transphobic shit that's coming out. So stop putting it on somebody else and do the...
Y'all, go watch that creator because she is dropping some gems. But to answer her question as to why white women do not listen to Black women is pretty simple. I think it boils down to miseducation and conditioning. Through white Christianity and our schooling system, white people have been conditioned to believe that their experience and their existence is, in fact, the center of the universe. And when you've been conditioned to believe that, and you've only been taught history that has been whitewashed and manipulated, you're less inclined to listen to anything that contradicts it. And you're especially not going to listen if it doesn't affect you. And this is the exact reason why a lot of women don't fuck with white feminism, because y'all stay late to the game.
So this person goes on to talk about how genocide in this country is not new and how Black women and Indigenous women have been telling y'all about this country's history of genocide because it happened to us. And she asked this question at the beginning, why didn't we listen to Black women? And I know it's supposed to be a rhetorical question, but I actually think it would be a good exercise to ask yourself, why didn't you listen to Black women? Why don't you listen to Black women? Why are you continuing to not listen to Black women? I'm dead serious. Sit with yourself. Ask yourself the question. Journal about it. See what comes up.
Patriarchy has convinced women, and particularly Black American women and American women, to compete. And so we don't know how to collaborate. So the minute that Black women show up and we show up with some intelligence and some information and some knowledge and some confidence, y'all get uncomfortable and y'all click off immediately. That is why y'all didn't listen to black women, because all of your media tells you to compete with us. I was just talking about in another post about The Good Wife. I'm rewatching this series, and what I've noticed is every single time the main character, Alicia, has an interaction, this is for 7 seasons, with a black or brown woman, it is in an adversarial, hostile situation. Even the brown woman that she at one point calls her best friend end up being in conflict with each other because the brown woman allegedly slept, or actually not allegedly, she slept with her husband. But this is the normalization. This is how media portrays it. You rarely see healthy collaborative relationships between black and brown women and women. And that is the problem. We have to get beyond that. The reality of it is a lot of don't have real life intimate interactions with black women where you can actually talk to us about our experience in all of this. TikTok has done a great job of giving y'all access to us and our information and to how we see and view things. But even then, a lot of y'all don't follow us and don't engage in our content and don't ask meaningful questions and offer meaningful insight. It's always in a competitive energy. And until we as women get past that, we are not going to be able to get anywhere. The smartest thing they ever did, not just with the black community, but also with women as a whole, was to divide. To divide us. What is the opposite of competition is collaboration. Until we learn to collaborate, and to collaborate, we both got to have a seat at the table, and we both got to have a voice, and we both got to be willing to listen. And until we can get to that point, they win. They win. They win. And the interesting thing is, even with this now, a lot of are still not listening to black women. A lot of are not listening. And a part of listening to us too is shutting the fuck up and getting out the way. Like, y'all have to realize, in order to give us a seat at the table, y'all gonna have to start giving up some seats.
Replay the game film of why white women didn't listen to black women till the end of time. But it would be much more productive if white women started to acknowledge certain truths. I am a white woman. Just by being born white, even though I am seen as a lesser sex in this country, I have enjoyed the advantages of being a white woman. I have not always worked to dismantle the system, so I am a part of the system of oppression that black women have been warning us against. And that is not easy to say, but we have to accept it as the truth. We are by nature selfish. Yes, we don't like being held back, but we also don't want to have to give up being at the top of the pile. Because white women will march and they will fight with black women until we might have to be equal with black women. And then we kind of scurry back to that, slightly behind and to the right of men. We need to acknowledge that.
Please don't forget to leave your opinion down below what you think. And don't forget to subscribe, turn on notification. Anytime I upload, you will be notified. Stay blessed and bye-bye.